Hello, it's a Wednesday, April 8th, 2015, and I haven't made a new video since sometime in January. There's several reasons for that. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff coming in here. The electrical lines in this neighborhood have all been redone in the last few months, and so there's a lot of stuff coming in that I can feel and hear, the silent sound part, and it's hard. It's difficult on the body. Not very much fun to deal with. So there are several things I wanted to talk about today. It's not going to be too long, but something came out of my body recently. I have talked about the stuff out of my toes and other places. This is because Joni Mitchell is dealing with, she went into the hospital ill recently, and she talked about Morgellons disease. And I want to show you what came out of my navel. So I'm going to hold this up here and see if I can get it located. On the, let's see, the 18th of March, this little plastic piece came out of my navel. And this piece came out on April 3rd, which was a few days ago, and then this 2 or 3 days later. So you can see this is kind of like a little wire look almost, and then these two are more of a fan shaped, and these are not organic, they're not normal part of a human body tissue. These are synthetics of some type, and I got a little bit more out just today, not very long ago, but they were small pieces. So I wanted you to see what I consider to be proof of Morgellons type diseases that a lot of people are dealing with. A lot of the people who have this are women, and it's their bodies are trying to expel stuff that doesn't belong in there. And I've dealt with this in my legs and arms as well. Now, a lot of people they have these colorful fibers, and I haven't had so much of the colorful fiber part, but I've had more of this kind of stuff that I just showed you. So there is something going on that's creating synthetic materials within our bodies, and then some of us, our bodies are trying really hard to expel those and get those out. I saw a mother and daughter on video who both were suffering. They had lesions all over their arms and legs, and I'll try to find that video and put the link when I upload this to YouTube. I'll try to put the link at the bottom so that some of the rest of you can see that. I hope somebody sees this besides people that are in the industry. The psyops that goes on affecting people like me. Something interesting I got the other day. March had a lot of stuff going on with all the various holidays. Some of them are pagan holidays, some of them are religious holidays. Various groups have different things that they do to rituals and things that they do, ceremonies during that time. And so there was a lot of stuff like that happening in March, along with the this past weekend being Easter and the full moon. They called it a blood moon. I've read a little bit about the blood moons. I don't know that much about them. But there's been a lot going on with all that, and I was kind of thinking maybe things would kind of loosen up and be a little less intense after Easter. And then I get in the mail on the 4th, which would be, last Saturday? See, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, yeah, last Saturday, I got a note from a group that I used to have pray for my mother. There's several organizations around the country that if you send in a prayer for somebody and give them a donation, they'll pray for that person for a period of 30 days. And I used to send them a donation and ask them to pray for my mother mostly, and once in a while I'd ask them to pray for me too. And so I haven't been in touch with them since my mother passed. I've received mail from them. A little aside, junk mail is part of the whole COINTEL Zerzetzen experience. When I started getting a bunch of junk mail back in Colorado, everybody gets some, but it started to really accelerate, and I couldn't figure out why, and I would try to get my name taken off the list, and I just end up getting more from those same groups, so I didn't waste the stamp anymore. I just recycled. But junk mail is part of, they submit your name and put you on all kinds of lists. Now, that granted, when you donate to one organization, your name is passed on to others. But I was getting stuff from places that I had never had any kind of affiliation with. So junk mail is part of the whole thing, and hang-up phone calls. And based on what I've seen here in southern Ohio, some of the cars and license plates that I've seen in the stalking network are also parked in front of the retail, the direct marketing location down in the city. So I think probably some of the people who are stalking are also doing the hang-up phone calls. Just a possibility, because nobody explains how this works to people like me. They just do it to us, but they don't give us the manual. So we have to try to figure stuff out. And, I may be right about that and maybe not, but I know we did get a lot of hang-up calls and ended up putting our phone on message, because we got tired of answering hang-up calls, because sometimes there'd be in the double digits during a day. So anyway, back to the 4th, I got a note from this group that I used to have pray for my mother, saying they were going to pray for me for the next 30 days. And if you look at the calendar, in 30 days, then on the 5th of May is the Day of the Dead in Mexico. And so that's a kind of PSYOP strategy that's used on us. It's nonstop. They've got everything figured out. They use the days on the calendar. They use stuff on the internet. There's a lot of PSYOP stuff that goes on the internet. The internet's been a real gift for these people. So I got a 30-day, we're praying for you, and there wasn't a last name. Somebody signed it, but there wasn't a last name. But that name and the spelling of that name then appeared yesterday and again today in 2 different locations. So that's the kind of PSYOP stuff that they're doing. All the military branches have PSYOPs units, and the Army seems to be very much involved in this. They have both active and reserve units, and they have lots there's lots of higher-ups who are very much involved, but that doesn't let the other branches off the hook because they have their PSYOPs units too. So that's a way of marginalizing the people that they put in the what I call the Zerzetson program model. It's based on that, which the Stasi, of course, didn't have the internet to use. And then COINTELPRO, the FBI COINTELPRO program, coupled with the military's great interest in PSYOPs to use as weapon. And then the defense contractors, they turn some of the responsibilities for some of us over to the defense contractors, and then somebody somewhere is using torture weapons, because the silent sound is torture. And I was thinking before I was making this video, because not only do I have the silent sound used against me, which causes sleep deprivation, and I did the math recently, and it's over approximately 1,700 days now. So the intense stuff started in April 2010, with the whole year of 2009 with the put the enemy to sleep, keep the enemy awake, when I wasn't hearing the silent sound because they hadn't blasted me with the siren type silent sound weapon at that point. But I was thinking about sound torture. I know that they've talked about it being used in the black prisons against the prisoners there, and they used sound torture against the people at Waco. David Koresh and that whole group, which, you know, people call it a cult, whatever the group was, but it was mostly, there were a lot of women and children in that compound, and they ended up perishing in the fire when the bulldozers drove into the buildings, and everything exploded. But for however long that standoff went on, and I've read about it, but I don't remember right now, they sound tortured them. They blasted stuff at them day and night, so they couldn't rest. I guess in an attempt to make them surrender. I don't know, but anyway, sound torture is used widely. So much has been weaponized in our country and in our world. The appliances have been weaponized against people like me and the other people like me. And again, I will repeat, as I've said in several videos, I don't know if there's a few hundred of us. I don't think I'm the only one. But there's a few hundred of us, a few thousand, you know, tens, hundreds from there. I don't know. And the people who are on Facebook, there's a few of them, I think, that validly are, and they're trying to get the word out, and I get information about contact this person. One guy sent a whole list of people to contact, and I contacted a few of them. There were so many there, it would have taken me days to send off messages to everybody. But my senators and my representative have heard from me, and they've heard from me repeatedly. Other people in the House and Senate have heard from me, some of them more than once. Journalists have heard from me. Lawyers have heard from me. Political candidates have heard from me. Democrats, Republicans, and Tea Partians have heard from me. I have signs in my yard, so people driving by see those. Sometimes the signs have websites on them, and sometimes they have, today they have scripture. John 3:16-21. You know, I'm not the most religious person in the world. I'd say I'm more spiritual than I am religious, but there are parts of the Bible that are, I think, pretty applicable to what we go through in life and are good guidelines for how we live our lives, do no harm. Today I wanted to talk about the abortion I had, because I haven't talked about that in the other videos. I had an abortion over 30 years ago, and my first husband, who was going to be a minister, he and I married, and we moved to the seminary, and he spent a year in seminary and then decided that he wasn't going to be a minister and went into the broadcasting business instead. And he didn't want kids, and I hadn't stood up for myself enough and said that I really did. And so I went along with the program. And then 13 years into the marriage, he cheated on me, which I never expected. I was pretty naive. He cheated on me with a younger woman. And that really blew everything out of the water for me. I mean, I didn't expect it. He's the one that pursued me when I went up to college. And so when that happened, I made some choices that I wouldn't make if I had it to do over again. But, you know, you kind of deal with things day to day when something like that comes along. So I got pregnant, and I didn't know what to do, and I was scared. So I had an abortion. When you have an abortion, you don't go around celebrating it. You don't wear a t-shirt that said I had an abortion. You don't stand out in front of your house with a sign that said I had an abortion. The day I had it, I went by myself. The day I had it, I came home and I was sitting out in the sun in the afternoon, and a person that pretended to be my friend at the time showed up at the house. And I realize now that that person would have known that I had the abortion and was probably there to see if I was going to talk about it and tell her about it, which I didn't. And the father knew I had the abortion, and I figured it was between me and the Father and the soul and the Creator. And it wasn't really anybody else's business, but a whole lot of people have made it their business. And pregnant women and couples with children are part of the staging and scripting that goes on around me. And since the pro-life movement has just become stronger and stronger and stronger since that time, because this was over 30 years ago, the voices are really loud and the pictures are really bloody. At the time I had the abortion, it was early in the pregnancy, and the fetus is the size of a blueberry. And I didn't see it. I don't know what happened to the material. One of the things that I'm wondering at this point, and of course no one shares that information, is would that material have been taken and something done with it? Would it have been properly disposed of? And the same thing with the tumor I had cut out in 2004. Was that was sent off to be tested, but how was that material disposed of? Because I've read some things just in the past few weeks, actually, that are a little bit concerning about that. About what are the labs doing with material that they're getting from people's bodies. They're messing with their blood. There was a lot of blood drawn when I had the tumor, before, after, and in follow-ups after the surgery. A lot of blood drawn. So I wanted to talk about the abortion today. I don't want to go into any more information about that right now, because it's not really anybody else's business, as I said. But a lot of people have made it their business, including people in my family. There are things that happened over the years that I now understand were related to that, things that were said, very pointed things that were said. And in reflection, I know why that was. My second husband and I wanted children, and after we were married, we didn't get pregnant. And some people would say that that was me being punished for having had the abortion. And they can have that. They can say that. That's fine. I don't feel that way about it at all. I don't know if some kind of change in my body as a result of it. It was the vacuum type. I understand they've got other kinds of ways of doing it now that maybe are a little less invasive. But that's that's one of the medical things that I've dealt with over the years. And I don't know if the tumor that I had in 2004, which would have been over 20 years after the abortion, let's see, is that right? Yeah, over 20 years after the abortion was anyway related to that or not. But I'm not, after I had it, I felt kind of numb, I think was how I would describe it. I can't remember everything exactly. As I say, it's not something you celebrate. You let your body recover. The recovery doesn't take too long. A lot of things I've read said that 1 in 3 women in the world has an abortion at some time in her life, and about 60% of those are people who already have children. And that's a significant number. I don't know how many miscarriages there are, but there's an awful lot of miscarriages occurring too. The people that are standing out in front of the abortion clinics that are still operating, because they worked real hard to close those. A lot of men in the legislatures have worked real hard to close those. And I'm wondering if those people that stand out front bullying women who are going into the clinics, because some of them are not there for abortions, they're there for birth control and other things that females deal with. And I wonder if they're picketing prisons about inmates that are up for death sentences that they end up being innocent. Are they doing that? Are they protesting the murders of innocent people all around the country for different things? I mean, there's all kinds of killing of people who are walking around on the planet alive. Are they speaking out about war? Are they saying we shouldn't be blowing up children in other lands? Have you seen the pictures of the children who've been blown up with the various high-tech bombing equipment we have anymore? The drone murders, are they protesting those? Are they questioning their legislators about drone or airplane platforms being used, or space station or satellites being used as part of the grid system to cause harm to their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren and their fellow U.S. citizens? Because it seems like if you're going to speak up and be pro-life, you should be pro-life across the board. It's one of those things. Have you walked in my shoes? Were you there? Did I make the best decision? Would I make the decision now? I don't know. Had a little time out there. I'm not going to second guess it, because once you've had it, you can't undo it. And I didn't spend days crying after it happened, because I knew that the fetus was the size of a blueberry. And I didn't fear for my job, and I didn't fear for, I didn't think that I would have the judgment of the community coming down on me, but then I didn't know the community was going to know about that, because I didn't tell them. Somebody else did. Because the abortion was in I was in a small town, and I went out of town. Did the abortion clinic release that information somehow? Was there somebody within the clinic that released that information? That would be a violation, I would think. But I suppose since all our information has been hacked for decades, that's something that could have been hacked at that time. Let's see. So the stuff coming out of my body, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I scraped off of my head up here. I don't know what that was, but it finally stopped. I had something that fell out of my ear and was laying here in the bottom of my ear, and then this side there's something over there. I've got a growth of some kind. It's not a wart like I had on my leg, but it's not just a regular brown spot. It's thickened. So I'm treating that. This is something else that happens, and I think it's related to maybe the stuff like this that comes out. I would start to, at the time in the 90s when I'd start to get, my hair was falling out, and I was starting to not sleep as well, and I was starting to be more tired and gain weight. I'd have these places on my face that would look like blackheads or pimples. And so I'd try to pop them, and they wouldn't pop. And I thought that was really weird. And that's related to whatever's in there, I think, that's trying to get out. It makes places on your skin that are little pustule type places, but they don't really have pus in them like a pimple does. And I had this a couple of little places under my eye for a long time, like for several years. These little white places. And after I did the surgery on my toes and dug out the little chip and the other thing that was in my big toe, and I'm still working on that other toe next to the big toe, I'm cutting stuff off of there because it scabs over. Whatever this stuff is that's in our bodies, and however it got there, it's set up so it reprotects itself. And so whatever's in that second toe kind of scabs over, so I cut that scabby stuff off. And there's a little dark spot in there. So I'm working on the little dark spot, and it still hurts. I think that's all I'm going to talk about today. The effects of having the grid changes on the electrical poles in the neighborhood are apparent to me. I don't know if other people are experiencing things or not, but it's apparent to me because I can feel and hear that stuff. So it's April 8th, 2015, and that's my update for today.